We in no way want to be categorized with other organizations, religious and otherwise, that coerce their supporters to donate. That coerce their supporters to donate. Where does all of the financial support come from? Largely from you, dear brothers and sisters. Most funds come from what you voluntarily put in the contribution box in your Kingdom Hall. Yes, that little box with a slot that is labeled Worldwide Work. Yes, that little box with a slot that is labeled Worldwide Work is primarily what finances all of the theocratic initiatives that have been implemented. Of course, there are many other ways to contribute, as explained usually in the November issue of the Watchtower each year. Of course, there are many other ways to contribute, as explained usually in the November issue of the Watchtower each year. Sometimes we may feel a little shy to talk about the financial needs of the organization. That is understandable. However, because all of us have the privilege to donate funds, we would like to let you know something about our current situation. Then you can respond as your heart impels you. As you might have sensed, I am not shy about this subject. And why not? It is because we have many scriptural examples of Jehovah's faithful servants making known the financial needs of the congregation. Only when supporters of the kingdom know the needs can they respond accordingly. The governing body very much feels the urgency of accomplishing as much as we possibly can in behalf of kingdom interest, knowing that the great day of Jehovah is near. Knowing that the great day of Jehovah is near. So in an effort to keep you informed of the support that is needed for this great work, I have the following information to share. We have looked forward to this next fiscal year and projected the expenditures for all of the theocratic initiatives we are scheduling. In doing the math, we found that the amount of money flowing out will be much greater than the amount of money that we have coming in at this time. The financial circumstance has nothing to do with a lack of spirituality or appreciation. However, there are some facts that we want to make you aware of. For one thing, the financial needs in the field have accelerated at a pace unlike any time in the recent past. A recent analysis of the need for kingdom halls here in the United States showed that some 1,600 new kingdom halls or major renovations are needed, not sometime in the future, but right now. And worldwide, we are in need of more than 14,000 places of worship, not including ongoing future growth. In the past 15 years, 30,000 kingdom halls have been built. Now, if you figure that up, that averages about 2,000 kingdom halls every year. But in an effort to relieve the serious backlog more quickly, we intend, Jehovah willing, to complete 3,000 kingdom hall projects every year going forward. Now, that's a 50% increase. Additionally, adjustments are being made to simplify the Kingdom Hall design in order to accelerate the construction schedule and to save funds. Though the design will be simplified, the sheer number of Kingdom Halls requires considerably more funds in the budget than in times past. Additionally, please think about this. Today, how many publishing companies print publications in the many languages that Jehovah's organization does? The answer? None. And why is that? It is because they cannot make a financial profit. We, however, are accelerating our method of translating publications into indigenous languages. This involves building or purchasing regional translation offices, or RTOs. These will be strategically located in the part of a country with the highest concentration of native speakers of the language. Providing these structures in various regions of a country reduces the need for costly construction expansion at the local branch office. But in the next 2 years, however, upwards, now think about this, 170 of such facilities, RTOs, are needed. Depending on the country and the cost of materials, an RTO can cost from about $1 million to several $1 million each. Hence, we have another reason we need to increase our finances. We just felt that you, dear brothers and sisters, needed to be made aware of these expenditures that we're facing in the coming months and years. We also have heard from circuit overseers and others that some of the brothers and sisters may have a misconception about some of the recent policy changes that have been instituted. For example, all congregations that had a Kingdom Hall or Assembly Hall loan to pay off were informed that their mortgages were canceled. Now, if you think about it, that is amazing, isn't it? All their loans were canceled. Can you imagine a bank telling homeowners that all their loans were canceled and that they should merely send in to the bank each month whatever they can afford? Only in Jehovah's organization could such a thing happen. However, according to some of our circuit overseers, some of us took this to mean that the organization had a surplus of funds and thus took this action, as if the loans did not need to be reimbursed. Could this misconception have affected the amount that some have chosen to donate each month? In actuality, the mortgages were canceled so as not to be a hardship on some congregations and circuits. It was not because the organization had a large surplus of funds and thus could, quote, afford to cancel these mortgages. As explained at the time, it was to equalize the reimbursement of such expenditures over the entire brotherhood. Think about this comparison. Back in 1990, when the decision was made to distribute our literature free of charge, some within the organization and many outside the organization thought this would be financial suicide. However, you, dear brothers and sisters, have proved those predictions completely wrong. Jesus said at Matthew 11:19, all the same, wisdom is proved righteous by its works. Our individual voluntary donations have combined to take care of the costs associated with producing our literature. And we're confident that the same will prove true regarding the decision to cancel all Kingdom Hall and Assembly Hall loans. So instead of conveying the message that the organization needed less in the way of donations, the intent was really just the opposite. But we have confidence that our hearts will be moved to contribute what we can each month to offset the necessary expense of building new meeting places for our brothers worldwide. Another misimpression that has been brought to our attention is that the sale of property in New York City means that fewer donations are needed. To help put things in proper perspective, however, selling one of the significant properties in New York really only covered the operating expenses for the worldwide work for a few weeks. Now, that's one significant property. And in actuality, the sale of property in New York City is basically only financing the construction of world headquarters in Warwick and the purchase of other properties that are needed to facilitate the move from Brooklyn in the future. But on top of that, as mentioned, we are planning on accelerating the building of Kingdom Halls and remote translation offices in coming years. It is our desire, Jehovah willing, to hold to the accelerated schedule for these projects, if at all possible, rather than having to scale back such progress because of a lack of available funds. Again, we are not in any way desirous of creating a hardship on anyone. However, we felt that if you knew the circumstances accurately, you would apply Proverbs 3:27 to the situation. There, we are encouraged not to withhold what is good. But then the scripture adds, if it is within our power to help. And I might mention that this is true even of publishers in less affluent countries. It is encouraging to note that even in lands with limited resources, the very poor contribute to the cost of their Kingdom Hall and its maintenance. We're all Jehovah's United people, even if we do not have much materially. If our heart is willing, there is usually something we can do, even if it is merely offering 2 small coins of very little value, as the poor widow did. And how did Jesus feel about her for doing this? He highly praised her in Mark 12:42 through 44. And if we think about it, a small donation from each of many of Jehovah's people adds up to a large amount of dedicated funds that can be used powerfully by Jehovah's organization. Please turn back to Exodus chapter 35. As mentioned, Jehovah was not shy about informing his people of the financial needs for true worship. But once the need was known, what was the initial result? Exodus 35, and let's read verse 21 and the first part of verse 22. Then everyone whose heart impelled him, and everyone whose spirit incited him, came and brought their contribution for Jehovah to be used for the tent of meeting, for all his service, and for the holy garments. They kept coming, the men along with the women, each with a willing heart. And what were the final results? Well, look at Exodus chapter 36. And we're going to read verse 7. Let's see, did Jehovah have to scale back on the amount of work because of a lack of material support? Verse 7, the goods were enough for all the work to be done, and more than enough. Yes, when the hearts of Jehovah's people are motivated, wonderful things happen. The governing body wanted to make you aware of the financial needs in the world field. And we are confident that with this knowledge, your appreciative hearts will move you to do what you can to support the work at hand. Yes, we can honor Jehovah with our valuable things, including the financial support of true worship. We in no way want to be categorized with other organizations, religious and otherwise, that coerce their supporters to donate.